A birthday dinner is a celebration, unless you're the guest who treats it like a paid gig with mileage. Shared on r/EntitledPeople, where I came all this way doubles as an invoice. For my 26th birthday, I booked a nice but not extravagant dinner. $30–40 entrees, nothing wild. I invited about 10 friends 3 weeks out and made one thing crystal clear in the message. Separate checks, just want to celebrate together. Everyone confirmed, including an old high school friend, Devin. He'd moved a couple states away, so I was genuinely touched he'd drive 2 hours to show up. We had a great night, laughing, catching up, no drama. Then the checks came. Everyone started pulling out cards, except Devin. He just sat there, scrolling on his phone like the bill might magically evaporate. After an awkward beat, I asked, "You good?" He looked up like it was obvious. "Oh, I thought since it was your birthday, you'd be covering it." I was stunned. I literally wrote separate checks in the invite. Everyone else had heard me. But then he doubled down. "I drove 2 hours to be here. That's like $30 in gas. I figured you'd at least cover my meal." I stood there, frozen, 10 people watching. I didn't want to ruin the night, so I paid his $67 tab. And now he's texting like nothing happened, asking when we're hanging out next. In his calculus, showing up uninvited to your own generosity earns you a free meal. I didn't force him to come. I never offered to pay. He made a choice and then acted like it was my obligation to subsidize it. When I told him I wouldn't be covering anything going forward, he seemed genuinely confused, not angry, just surprised that I wouldn't keep funding his effort. His presence wasn't a gift, it was a down payment on your wallet. The worst part, a couple mutual friends later hinted I was making a big deal out of nothing, like wanting clarity on a voluntary expense is the real social crime. Politeness, it seems, includes silent consent to be billed retroactively. This isn't about $67. It's about consent laundering, where a clearly stated boundary, separate checks, gets overwritten by someone's internal ledger of emotional ROI. He didn't misunderstand. He rejected the premise that social gestures require mutual agreement. In his calculus, his travel wasn't a personal choice. It was a contribution that entitled him to repayment in the form of your money. Notice how the demand was delivered not as a request, but as a gentle correction. "I figured you'd cover it." That phrasing assumes your generosity is the default setting. Asking for payment would be rude. Expecting it, that's just reasonable. This is how entitlement operates in soft spaces. It doesn't shout, it sighs. It says, "I came all this way," as if distance traveled nullifies basic social contracts. And the social fallout? That's the enforcement mechanism. When others call you stingy for honoring your own terms, they're not defending him, they're protecting the illusion that generosity must be limitless to be valid. The online response cut through the noise with surgical irony. One observer noted that $67 wasn't a loss, it was a discounted character reference, paid in full for the privilege of learning exactly who Devin is. Another suggested the only fair next step was to RSVP to his birthday with a Venmo request for emotional labor and scene avoidance fees. A tongue-in-cheek reminder that if relationships are transactions, his side of the ledger is deeply unbalanced. A third reframed the whole evening as performance art. He didn't attend a birthday, he conducted a field test on your conflict tolerance. These aren't just comebacks, they're diagnostics, revealing how absurd it is to treat a reasonable boundary like a breach of social code. So we have a man who treated a celebration like a service contract, with himself as both guest and contractor. It makes you wonder, if showing up is now billable labor, what's the hourly rate for pretending you respect someone's boundaries?